Insurance companies say that their driving tracking apps can save money. And in most cases, they can. But in a lot of situations, they don't tell you that they can actually raise your rate. There's thousands of drivers that have learned, unfortunately, the hard way. About 23.6% of those that actually take these courses or these tests fail. And when they fail, their rates go up. So let's go over what you should be looking out for when you're doing these apps, whether they're worth it, and when you should avoid using the app in general. Now, just to give you some examples, we kind of mentioned them in the beginning, but you've got Progressive has what's called Snapshot. You have State Farm, which has the Drive Safe and Save. You have Allstate, which has DriveWise. You have Liberty Mutual or Safeco that has Right Track. Nationwide has Smart Ride. And some of these programs, what they're looking for is they're looking for hard braking. They're looking for acceleration, the time of day that you drive, depending on whether it's night or during the day. We'll go over that in a moment. And the phone usage, if you're touching the phone while driving. Also, some do track mileage, and very few of them, but there are a couple of them out there that do track speed. The idea is simple. It's going to get you a discount. If you can show that you drive really good, you say, I'm a perfect driver, they should be getting a better deal. Why am I rated with all these other people? Blah, 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 blah. All of the things, I'm that guy too. You want the better deal because you feel like you have the better driving, and they're going to test you. They're going to say, great, we'll give you that discount, but you got to prove it. You usually get 5 to 10% off instantly. Just for adding it to your policy, you get that discount. Now, if you don't do well, what a lot of them do is they just remove the 10%. So it feels like a rate increase, but in all realness, it's not. It's just you lost the discount that you said you were good, and they decided that you weren't in those cases. For some of their software, it's the opposite. If you don't drive well and you show that you drive worse than normal, and you're above the average for bad driving, possible claims, possible tickets, those pieces, then your rate's gonna go up. You're gonna see a major increase on what you're paying from month to month. Now, here's the crazy part. They're not just apps anymore. There's plug-in devices, there's commonly apps that you're going to see, and some of the newer vehicles are already tracking your data. So it just shares the data when you give access. So be a little bit careful on when you're purchasing your vehicle, when you sign up for that, whether you have that turned on. There's over 30 million drivers in the US, and according to the main software, the main program, it's called LexisNexis, their research says between 5 and 40% are receiving discounts for the good driving record. So there's a big positive for about half of us. In realness, it's about 70 to 75% of the people that are driving are getting some sort of discount based on that DriveWise or that telematics software that you can use to show that you're a good driver. Progressive says Snapshot on average saves about $146 per year. State Farm says their drivers can save up to 30% with their Drive Safe and Save. Some can increase the rates. Now, here's the cool part, is not all of them are the same. There are companies that don't raise your rate, even if you're the worst driver in the world and you don't do well. I've personally reviewed and tested a few of these items. We've done the Progressive Snapshot, which we're going to make a new video on here shortly. We've also done a video full review on the reviews that you're going to see for the DriveWise from State Farm and the Drive Safe and Save. You also have the reviews from Nationwide, and then we've done Safeco, which is Liberty Mutuals. I've personally gotten a discount for that on my current policy with one of the policies that I had with them. Here's the examples that I personally have seen is one, I've saved $300 and some odd off my policy here. That's great. I feel like I'm paying too much anyways, but I like the savings. I'll take it anytime I can. The other part is I've seen customers and friends of mine that have had the opposite happen. Some is the most common, which is when they didn't activate the app at all, they didn't use it, and they thought, oh, that's fine, they'll never figure it out. And 45 days later, the app comes off, the discount comes off, the price goes up, and you get the phone call like, what the heck is going on? I've had a few people that we've reset it through several times every year, and it's just, you got to do it. And there's not everyone in the household is taking the app, but everyone's on the policy. So there's different scenarios that you have to understand with the company that you're with. This channel is going to go over a ton of reviews, so if you're looking to learn more about that, check the channel. We probably have covered it. If you're looking at new insurance, then it makes sense to talk to the agent that you're working with to understand your scenario. If I don't do well, is my rate going to go up? How long do I have to do it for? All of the scenarios that you need to understand are going to be involved with that. Now, if you are shopping for insurance, I'll put a link in the description below where you can actually work with an independent agent. Most of your independent agents work with multiple versions or multiple companies that have different options. So if you want the best rate and you don't want one that's going to rate negatively against you, then fill out the description below. There's a quote you can start and we'll get you in touch with an agent that can help give you the advice even further. So here's a scenario. Yes, in most cases, you can say I'm the passenger. Unfortunately, some people have been tracked on planes. In other cases, you're late for work. You're not thinking about it. The app is tied to your phone. It knows after a certain few minutes that your phone starts moving at a rate or a certain speed. Then it clicks on and it starts tracking you. In that case, if you're in rush hour traffic, if you're stop and go, there's lots of braking. If you're driving between midnight and 5 a.m., those are the main things that you're going to see that are going to hurt you with these apps. And that's the part you guys should really understand is this isn't advertised. That adjustment can rate on the renewal. Unfortunately, with your Progressive Snapshot, that will increase the rate if you are a risky driver. With your companies like Geico, you're going to also see that. Those consumer reports has warned drivers against the usage-based insurance. They don't always guarantee saving. Actually, the FTC has raised concerns about the data collecting because some of the times the other percent is the scores can be incorrect. When you're driving in stop and go, when you are stopping correctly, you are going correctly, sometimes it's based off of your phone's tracking. And if it's not tracked correctly, or if the phone gets bumped, or if something happens and it doesn't feel that bump correctly, then you could be rated against in your policy. Now, here's the biggest mistakes that we see drivers make. Number one is signing up without understanding the rules. Most people just think, hey, it's a discount program, it's easy to go with, I'm good. What a lot of people don't realize is the braking matters. Driving between midnight and 4 a.m. matters. Using your phone is considered the biggest distraction, so that's gonna rate you the hardest. Where mistake number two is someone else is driving your car. If you have the plug-in device, that means that car is going to be tracked. And if they aggressively drive your vehicle, then you're gonna get the rate increase on your next policy. Number three is where the app thinks you're the driver and you're the passenger, and this can be avoided. Some apps actually allow you to tell it that you are the passenger. I don't know how well it knows that, because if you get out of the car and you're like, well, that was a rough ride, I'm gonna be the passenger. Some apps do allow you to say that, other apps don't. If you're in an Uber ride, if you're riding with a friend, that can be considered you driving if it doesn't pick it up correctly. Now, they all tout that it's going to understand that you're the driver or passenger automatically, but it doesn't necessarily know which car you're in. And if that's the case and you're renting a car, different ride height, different bumps, all of those pieces, that could go negatively against you on one of those telematics software. Number four, you really shouldn't be using it in most cases if you're driving late at night. If you're working third shift and you're driving between midnight and 4 a.m., it's not gonna like that. Weekend driving, long highway miles, stop and go. We've actually had a customer once that was idle and they just sat at locations for a long period of time and the app didn't like that. So knowing that those times of driving, it counted them as being driving for a longer period of time, which negatively impacted the policy. So here's some of the real numbers. The reason that these apps are so impactful is because the braking, if you brake hard, then you're significantly more likely to be in an accident. If your phone is being in use while driving, the risk of having a claim is way higher. Nighttime driving is a higher risk. There's, especially at midnight to 3 a.m., there's more medical or more injuries at those times. So insurance is afraid of having large payouts, not just fender benders. The comment that I see on this channel is I give my phone to my kids and they're on YouTube or they're on da-da-da and they're doing this and they're the things, right? The family is using the device. And in that case, it doesn't make sense to do any of these DriveWise or Safe Rides or any of those pieces that telematics or that UBI, the usage-based insurance, is not going to give you a good rate. In this case, you wouldn't be a good fit. But there's also a positive. So when does this program work is if you work from home. You got to make sure that you hit the mileage because there is usually a mileage requirement. If you're driving mostly during the day, if you drive low mileage, if you don't drive in heavy traffic, and you rarely use your phone when you drive. Normally I'm out, but in most cases, if you're connected to a device and it's using a device in that case, in most cases, it's not going to count it against you. I know we're talking negatively and I just wanted to show you the negative side of it, but remember, that's 26% of the people or 23% of the people that get negative impacts. That's not every company that offers that. That means that almost 75% of the people that do use the device are getting a really good score or getting some sort of a discount. In most cases, you're going to see anywhere from the average, which is 10 to 30% off. There are some rare cases that you can get more of a discount, especially if you're driving less mileage and you do really good on the drive. My personal advice is if you drive less than 10,000 miles, if you avoid night driving, if you are mostly highway or you're not driving in the stop and go traffic, you don't have teenagers, there's not a heavy commute, there's not a ton of people in your home that have to be listed on the device, because there are some discounts tied to that, and you could really cut your score in half just by having someone not use the device. If that is the case, then it's going to be a really good fit and you're going to see a major discount. But if the opposite is true, and the big takeaway for the video is it's not always a guaranteed discount. The driving behavior is a test and it has to show and reflect good. Typically, you're going to get a 90-day window to show your driving habits. It's going to show you some examples, tell if you're hard braking. And in those cases, it can be frustrating to see that you're not doing well on the app is a frustrating scenario because there's no give and take. There's not a person to call. There's no one to explain it to. In most cases, it's cut and dry. You either do good or don't get the discount. And in some cases with some companies, you get a negative discount to where you actually pay more at your next renewal. I'd be curious to know if you've done one of these apps, if the telematics, it's called the usage-based insurance, UBI, that software is going to track you. Let me know if you've done good or bad. I personally have seen a lot of people get $300, $400, $500 off their policy. I've also seen some people go a few $100s more on their policy. And I've had a lot of people that have just forgot the device was even a thing and they never activate it. So in those cases, they just lost that 10% discount, which does impact your policy. I'd love to hear your comments. Let me know in the comments below what your results were, which company you used, and what was the benefit. If you're looking at the main companies, I've got a video here that's going to go a little bit further in depth. The more important piece is having the right coverage for insurance. I've got a car insurance 101 that'll go over that as well. That can get you some pretty good discounts knowing the coverages that you should carry. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.